All right, we are live. This is episode 6 of our Nurturing Next podcast. Welcome back to Nurturing
Nurturing Next.
Next.
So today we are going to be talking about our experience in raising bilingual kids.
Yeah, so your first language is
Spanish.
yeah,
Yeah,
and-
if you cannot tell by my accent.
yeah, and my first language is English.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for us, it was never a question whether we were going to speak Spanish to them or
Yeah,
not.
it was a definitely given. We're
Yeah.
gonna teach them both languages.
Yeah,
Um,
especially because we live in the US and like they're going to be listening English like everywhere they go when they go to school, church, community, and
but
all that.
but no matter where you live, I mean, I think knowing knowing more than one language is
Yeah, it's
something you should
beneficial
know.
for your brain and just for your general skills,
Mhm.
like for your resume and just so you can understand memes in two languages.
That is the one and only reason you should know 2 languages, so that you can understand multiple language memes.
Yeah. It's really great to know two languages. I mean, if you can learn more, great.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so from the moment that I was pregnant with our first, and I start reading that it's good to talk to your baby when they're still, in your belly. So for me, it's just natural. For me, like I think in both languages. It depends what I'm thinking about. But when I was thinking about my babies, I always thought in Spanish. So I will talk to them in Spanish. So yeah, and then when they were born, I always speak to them in Spanish unless we're at a park and they are doing something. And I always feel weird. I don't know if I'm doing this wrong or not, but like I always feel weird when, like, for example, like my kid is doing something and interacting with other kid and I'm trying to get his attention. I always feel weird speaking Spanish to him because the other moms, for the most part, I know that they don't know Spanish, and I
Yeah.
just want them to know that I'm trying, to get my kid's attention and that I'm trying to correct him and direct him,
Yeah.
So I feel weird speaking Spanish to him. Those are the only moments that I speak English to him, to them. I mean, mostly or toddler because the other one's a baby.
Yeah, but he's still picking things up.
Yeah,
Even, from that's one thing with little babies, even from the get-go, you just see them and you're like, you can't possibly understand anything that I'm saying to you, right? But it is
They
extremely
do.
important to like start talking to them right away,
Mm-hmm.
and it will help a lot
Yeah.
with their language development.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I always speak Spanish to them. And yeah, like when they start talking, like the first word for taller, his first word. Do you remember what was his first word?
Agua.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It
agua.
was just the sweetest thing. It was a Spanish word.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could tell that he understood what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And we could tell that he understood what you were saying from the beginning.
Yeah.
But as he started talking, kind of seemed like initially
He only understood Spanish, it seemed like, more so.
like
I feel like.
you think he
Yeah,
did.
I remember him being more just he felt more acquainted with Spanish, I think. One reason probably is because I would speak the Spanish that I know and understand that I can speak, I'll speak Spanish to him.
Yeah.
And then other than that, I speak English to him, but I'll speak Spanish to him. So I believe that that was the language that he understood and picked up more. Because I remember early on with our toddler, he would like listen to people in English and he kind of like understood, but he didn't
Yeah.
totally understand. But
Yeah.
then if he was around Spanish speaking people, like you could see his face, he'd light up. He'd be
You're
like,
right.
I
You're right.
understand them. Like what? They're
You're
speaking something that
right.
I understand. So
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I think you're totally right. Like I even remember like at the grocery store, like when we just like he's like shopping and he will hear Spanish, he would like immediately like turn around trying to find like who, like I understand that like who is talking, like
Yeah, yeah,
eavesdropping all the time, but
yeah. So there's a couple of different methods, right, for teaching your kid
yeah,
bilingual, right?
yeah, I believe there are three methods.
Okay.
So one is one parent, one language.
Okay.
So meaning that like for it's like
Kind
what
of
we're
what we're
doing.
doing, yeah.
Yeah, so you for the most part you speak English to him,
Yeah.
and then I speak Spanish to him. So that's one method. The other method is at home you speak the minority language. So like for example, like for us that we live in the US, we would be speak at home. We only speak Spanish, and then outside English.
Yeah.
And then the other method, I cannot remember right now, but pretty sure there are three. What would be the other
Yeah.
combination?
I thought there was three too, but then I can
Yeah.
only think of two
I
methods.
can only think of those two. Maybe as we go on the podcast.
Maybe the third method is the one we actually do, is where I speak some Spanish and some English to him, and you only speak. Or maybe it's that you just speak a mix of both.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
maybe that's the third one.
Maybe.
Anyways,
Well,
the one that we do is kind of like one parent, one language, plus all the Spanish that you know.
yeah. Which
That
I've
you
picked up
practice with
a
him.
good amount over the
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, so initially like his first words were Spanish words. And then as the time went on and he started having friends and hanging out, with his little friends, I think like he was kind of like, plus living in the US and the city where we live, there are not that many Spanish speakers. I kind of started feeling like English was getting a little
he
more
definitely started
dominant.
picking English words up. He has a
Really
friend
fast.
that's a little older than him, and he speaks English, and so he would pick up a few words from him here and
Yeah.
there.
Like phrases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful with that though sometimes, because one day he came home and he was saying a word that we're like,
Yeah.
where'd you hear that word? Like it was
Yeah.
the word that starts with an F, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's just so funny because like there are times that you are like, like you're repeating the same word, like like for example
Yeah.
when you're teaching them mama, papa, you repeat it and repeat it, repeat it. It takes them forever to repeat, but then they hear that one word once,
Yeah.
and they immediately like
the
absorb
only,
that.
the only word they use. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so he picked up more words in English after hanging out with more of his English speaking friends. Now he has some Spanish speaking friends as well though. He has a
Yeah.
mix of both.
Yeah, I really like. It's not the only reason, but one of the reasons I really like enjoying like hanging out with other Spanish speaker moms and kids is so he can practice his Spanish. And definitely like after hanging out with his Spanish speaker friends, his Spanish, like his vocabulary, his understanding, I feel like it's always good. Like I never feel like he doesn't understand what I'm saying. Like I can tell that he understands. Like sometimes he doesn't listen.
He doesn't act like he
Does
understands.
but that's different. But he understands.
Earlier on though, I did have to there was times where I just felt frustrated, like I didn't think he understood me that well.
Yeah,
And
I remember you telling me like, tell him in Spanish.
Tell him in Spanish. I don't think he understands what I'm saying, or at least he was ignoring me. But I was just like, you need to tell him in Spanish because he doesn't act like he understands me.
Yeah. Now that I like think more about it, I remember there were some times that you would talk to him and he would look at me kind of like, what is he saying?
Yeah. And I think that's because what I spoke to him, for the majority of it, I spoke to him in Spanish. Because a lot of the words, like, he was little, we didn't do full-on conversations at that point,
Well, I did because
Okay.
While you were at work, it was just
Yeah.
him and I,
Yeah.
so I talk a lot. And he was, he was there. So we would like have full on conversations, one-way conversations,
Yeah. Well, that's why he's so chatty now.
He's so chatty.
Oh,
Like he can go
yeah.
on and on
Yeah.
and on.
Today, it was the cutest thing. I came out to get some food, working from home, and he just looked at me and he started just going off about something. I have no idea what he was
Because
saying.
we went to story time, so he
Oh,
was
okay.
telling you all about
Oh
what
yeah,
he
yeah.
did.
He was telling me about story time and everything that he did. He's just it's just
And he's so
it's so
expressive.
cute. He's very expressive.
Like his face and he acts and he moves.
Yeah,
And,
I'm sure I did not do a good impersonation of him.
This is the sweetest
Yeah.
thing. And now when he talks, the way that he communicates is a mix of English and Spanish.
Yeah.
So
That's definitely hard for me.
Yeah, in order to understand what he's saying, you need to know both languages, and be like like be open to like catch the words in both languages, because in one sentence, like half might be Spanish and half English, and some signs and some sounds,
Yeah, there's some times where I have to like, what was that he said, and you'll kind of like you'll translate for him, because
He's like my little minion, because like I understand everything that he says, but not everybody understands what he says.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are times, like, I feel like sometimes Spanish words are really long compared to English. And
Yeah.
so I think he pick and chooses whatever language is easier to pronounce. So, and there are so many times that English wins, but I've been,
Isn't that funny how like
yeah,
everyone says, "Oh, English is such a hard language to learn," but
it doesn't
from
seem
what
like
we've
it
noticed
is.
with our toddler,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the English words are way easier for him to pronounce than the Spanish words.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So I've been telling him, ¿y en español? And he knows. I know that he doesn't know the full concept that Espanol is a whole different language. What I think he thinks is that what's a different way to say that, or what's the other
maybe,
word
yeah.
for it.
Yeah. So let's get into that a little bit. He only kind of started recently differentiating, right?
Yeah.
That's something I noticed recently.
Yeah.
Within the last, would you say like 3 weeks?
Yeah,
Last
like
month?
the last month or so.
Yeah.
I think the first sign was
So he's a
when,
little after 2.5 at this point then.
yeah, he's
yeah.
soon going to be 3.
Soon to get to be 3, so that's about the point where it seems like he started differentiating.
Yeah, and he can in his it's just amazing. Language is such an amazing thing,
Super cool,
because in his brain I can tell that he knows that Papa knows English and Mama knows Spanish, even if he doesn't know it by language, but he knows it, the different words.
Yeah.
Because there was this one time that you told him something. You told him like, "Oh, we're going to play with that later." And then he turned to me and he told me, "Papa say we're going to play that later."
Yeah, he
But he
translated.
said it in Spanish.
Yeah, he translated for me to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my goodness, like he knows that that's what I understand, or like that's
Yeah.
how, like
Yeah.
yeah. So he, in his brain, he already has the two. So when he's trying to like say like entire sentence in English to me, or referring to something a lot just with the English word, like I ask him, like how do you say that in Spanish, and he knows, and that's how I know that it's harder to pronounce, because like the English word he can say like really clearly that any
Yeah.
English speaker would understand, but the Spanish word he's
There's a lot of tongue rolling in there and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And like,
Yeah, but he knows the word and he understands it. So I think he just needs, to practice because that's how language it
yeah,
is. You
yeah,
need to practice. You need to say it, even if you mispronounce it.
yeah,
The more you say it,
yeah.
the better
So,
it's going to get.
so one thing I'm curious about, and I know the answer to this, but I'm just asking you. So
Mm-hmm.
as a little kid in a Spanish-speaking country, what did they do to help you to like roll your R's and like yeah,
Uh,
and be able to say those tricky words? Because from my experience trying to speak Spanish, there are some words that are just like, how do I even
mm-hmm.
say that? Even though I can roll my R, but like yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, so you're not born knowing how to roll the R's,
okay.
You're not born like that, even even if you hear it, like everybody speaks Spanish around you, your family, your community, school, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I went to school, when I went to first grade, I didn't know how to pronounce correctly the R and the double R because we have a double R in Spanish.
There's a double R.
There's a double
Wait,
R.
what's the difference?
It sounds more like, like it's.
Okay, okay. Let's get a demo real quick. The single R and then the double R.
Yeah. Well, it's not just a sound because
Okay.
so in Spanish, when you learn Spanish, it's a totally different way that when you learn how to read, it's totally different way that you learn how to read English. Because in English you learn by the sound.
Mm-hmm.
In Spanish you learn how to, you know, syllabus sound. I don't know. I just feel like it's different. It's going to be interesting once the kids start going to school. But
Yeah.
anyways, I didn't know how to do it, and most kids don't know how to,
Yeah.
like pronounce it correctly. So when I was in first grade, usually by first grade, it seems like kids know how to roll the R's. But for some reason, I didn't. And I remember that during break, my teacher she was really nice, she's a really sweet old lady, and she will like sit me next to her during break, and she will put she will tell me to put a pencil in my mouth. So I'll have a pencil in my mouth, and she'll tell me to do with the pencil in my mouth. Yeah.
How do you do that? Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
And I wasn't the only kid. Like apparently that was like a common method to teach, and I think they
Interesting.
still do it. So you put a pencil in your mouth, and then you just go,
Interesting.
and that's how you learn. Before and like I clearly remember that, like sitting next to her and just doing that. It sounds funny, but no, but at least I don't remember anybody making fun of me. Like it was
Yeah.
just like a normal thing, something that you have to learn, and that something. Yeah.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
I actually did you know that I learned how to roll my R's when I think I was in first grade too. First or second
Why?
grade. Yeah.
Why do you?
Well, my parents thought it'd be good to put me in Spanish lessons. And so I took Spanish lessons from this lady, and that was one of the first things she taught us is how to roll your R's.
Huh.
And so I rolled my R's. That's why I'm such a good Spanish speaker nowadays.
You have really good reading. Like
Yeah.
I feel like you sound like
Thank you.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying, but I can read it.
Yeah, you have a good pronunciation
Okay,
when you
that's
read it.
Yeah. But I don't remember, she didn't use the whole pencil thing. And I think also, like, as a little kid, I played with cars a lot, so I really got the, and then like, I really had that down. So I think that helped, just being a little boy playing with trucks and
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I think our little S, which is our taller, I think he's gonna be fully bilingual. I mean,
Oh,
he
yeah.
is. He is.
He
I can
is,
tell
yeah.
that he is, and I think a challenge is going to be for me to teaching because I feel like it's really important to learn not only to speak a language but also to write it and to read it.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I think that's going to be like mainly on me. Just teaching
Yeah.
at home and
That's
stuff.
gonna be tough.
Yeah.
I'm
But I feel
sure
like
that there's
reading-
gonna be classes though,
But like I
at
feel like
this
reading
point.
in Spanish is so much easier than reading English. I feel like
Yeah. No,
English
I
is
agree with
just
that.
so
I do agree
complicated
with that.
when it comes to reading and
Yeah.
spelling and
Because
writing.
because in Spanish, at least all the words that I've encountered, once you learn how the letters sound and
Mhm.
whatnot, like you can pretty much say any word.
Mhm.
That's why I can read in Spanish, but I have no idea what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like you can read the verses in English. There's so many words. It's like, wait, it sounds like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird. Maybe
Yeah.
that's the difficult part about English.
Yeah.
Is not necessarily how the words sound, but like how you read them.
Yeah. Yeah. English is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for a baby, well, we at home like I always speak Spanish to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he sees me speaking Spanish to his brother, and his brother speaking Spanish back to me. So I think it's going to be even easier for him because I have heard that to learn a language is really important to hear conversations like both ways,
Mm-hmm.
like not just like for example with my toddler, like not just me speaking to him, but also like hearing the reply, like both way.
Yeah.
So I think for the baby it's going to be easier. He's already saying mama, which was really sweet.
It is the cutest thing.
Which I mean, like it's kind of like a neutral, word. It's not
Yeah.
English or
He
Spanish.
totally means it though for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
But no, when I say that
oh
it's
yeah,
not
yeah. It's in
English or
English and yeah,
Spanish,
right.
it's
Yeah.
like a neutral
Yeah.
word. But yeah, that's like our secret thing is just that I always speak Spanish to them, not only because it's like it's easier for me, it's and also like I also feel like I communicate and express better in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And but like it's also for their own good, like it's not just
Definitely.
me, my selfish me of like it's the easy,
Have secret conversations with them.
yeah, because you understand what
I understand it pretty good about it. Yeah.
but yeah, and also so they can communicate with my parents. 'Cause
Yeah, that is really important.
especially my mom, she doesn't speak any English, and they can have the toddler can have a full-on conversation with my parents when we video call or when we talk on the phone. They asking question like how you're
Does he
doing.
speak to them fully in Spanish?
No, he's
He uses
still
English words.
he
Okay.
uses some English
Hmm.
words, but my mom, because she doesn't understand, she keeps asking, and then I think like, and so I tell him like tell her in Spanish, and then he uses that word words. Like mainly
Okay.
because like my mom asks like, oh, how's the baby doing? Like how's your little brother doing? And then most of the time the little brother is sleeping, so
Yeah.
he is like, oh, sleeping, and I like it. And then my mom doesn't understand, so
Baby is a domiro.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and he said, "Dormio."
Yeah. That's sleeping in Spanish for
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we do. It's just like you push it, and you say it in Spanish, and yeah. Sometimes I
It's
feel weird, like when we're like at the grocery store and stuff, and I like talking to him
mm,
in Spanish.
I don't feel weird at all. I think it's so cool. I
Yeah.
just like show off that I can speak Spanish. And,
Like
no,
I
I'm just
just
kidding.
don't want people to feel like
Yeah.
you
It is a
know
little weird. Yeah. Like you're speaking and you're like they don't understand what
my
you're
leg is
saying
falling
and
asleep. Yeah.
yeah, no, I do agree with that.
Yeah,
It's
but
weird. It's also kind of fun because it's your own kind of secret. Not secret, but you
yeah.
can communicate with your kid and
Yeah. Yeah,
not
but
many people know what you're saying.
yeah. Well, you'll be surprised. I feel like
Yeah.
nowadays a lot of people
You
are
never know.
living. Yeah,
Yeah.
you never know. But anyways, yeah, that's what we're doing, and
Yeah.
there's like
It's
our
worked out pretty
intention.
well.
Yeah.
So, if you are interested in like trying out that method of one person speaking one language, other person speaking the other language,
Mhm.
obviously it works. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cases of that it working, but
Mhm.
just kind of our experience of how it worked, and I would definitely say that you do have to engage with them and make them speak the like in your case, Spanish to you, because
Mm-hmm.
we were talking with a couple where I think the mom, she said that she's only spoke a certain language to them. I don't remember what language she spoke. I think it was Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that her kids, like, they understood it, but they didn't speak
Um,
back to her in that.
mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that's because like she never made them speak back to her
I have
in their
here the
language.
like I have cousins that fully understand Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't like speaking
Mm.
because like you get comfortable, like especially living in a country where like the other language is the majority and your friends in school and
Yeah.
and all that, you get comfortable with that language and it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the challenge as he keeps like developing his language, just for me to keep pushing him to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I can make him speak Spanish only to me too, so I get better at my Spanish. She still won't. No, I'm just kidding. It's hard. Like it'd be
it's
fun if we could
hard.
only speak Spanish together, so I could get better at it. But it's just then it's like, wait. But what did you say? So
Yeah, like that,
we
like
speak English together. Sometimes we speak Spanish, but for the stuff
yeah.
we understand.
Yeah, I feel like I could do a better job. It's okay. But see, again, like it happens that like for me, like I know that
Well,
if I
it's
speak,
my fault too, though.
like I feel like if I speak English to you, you will understand what I'm saying. But like I know that if I speak Spanish, you won't. But if I never do, then you never will.
Then I'll
So
never learn it that well. Yeah, it's a
uh,
struggle.
yeah,
It's just
it
both of
is.
us need to commit to doing that
Mm,
and get on the ball with
yeah.
that. But anyways,
Yeah. Something that I have here of people like I don't know if it's an excuse or something like people say like, oh, like I don't want to confuse my kid.
hmm,
Let's just speak one language, so
yeah,
it doesn't get confused.
we
They're
haven't.
not going to get
No, they
confused.
will not get confused.
It's something that is true to a degree is children that are bilingual, their language can be a little bit delayed.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I don't know how true it is because
I
every
don't.
kid is different.
Yeah, and
And
really,
some kids talk a lot and other ones don't.
yeah. I don't feel like his language is that delayed. Like maybe in one particular area, but if
Mhm.
you understand both Spanish and English, I feel like you
Mhm.
can understand him pretty well.
Yeah.
Uh, but like, yeah, I don't think that his language was delayed at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think at first, like, I kind of felt like he wasn't speaking that much. But it's because I was comparing him to his friend that is 7 months older. And at that age, like, like adults, 7 months is nothing. But little kids is a big difference how much they learn in
Yeah.
7 months. Like, 7 months is a lot, you know.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like his language was a little bit delayed, but I don't think it was.
Hmm.
And now, like, he says full sentences. He tells, he can tell you all about his day
Yeah.
and everything that he did. And he's starting to use past because like there was a
The
period of time
past.
that
Okay.
he was only speaking present,
Yeah.
but now he's starting to use past.
Yeah.
So I think his language is fine. So
And
don't be
it's
worried.
developing. Like, yeah, for a while he would just use TNA, which is to have, but like it's
Uh-huh.
like they have. And
Mm-hmm.
I think recently I've started noticing him saying like te
Tango.
name, tango or te nemos, like using the
Mm-hmm.
proper like
Yeah.
verbs for that.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing because I know, like, with a board, like, like how when you learn a different language,
Yeah. Yeah.
past, present, future,
Yeah.
I just talk to him,
Yeah. Yeah. It is super cool how
Yeah.
like they just learn the things by listening. Like
Mm-hmm.
our brains are so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
it's freaking
Yeah.
amazing. So fascinating.
Yeah. So that would be my advice. Don't be worried about like, oh, they're going to be confused. They're not going to get confused.
No.
They are going to understand and they're going to learn it. And the more you do it, the better they're going to get at it.
Mm-hmm.
Their language is just going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know.
And like if you just don't feel motivated to do it for their sake. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if
Yeah.
my grandmother had spoken Italian to my dad and my dad had spoken Italian to me, I would know Italian, and that'd be
We'll be
freaking
in Italy
awesome.
right
Yeah,
now,
we'd be in
maybe.
Italy, just living there. But I don't speak Italian, so yeah,
Yeah.
just yeah, do it for their sake, if nothing
Yeah.
else, because
Yeah.
they're gonna thank you.
Yes. Because that's something that I think a lot about. Like, I like in like what 10, 15 years from now, if I don't speak Spanish, if I don't make the effort and just like
Hmm.
the rule of like you speak Spanish to me and I speak Spanish to you, I feel like they're going to be like, Mom, like, how come you didn't
Yeah,
speak Spanish to
yeah,
me,
I know. And then they're gonna have to go to therapy because
because
their mom didn't speak Spanish to them, and they're gonna just have all these issues.
my goodness.
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So I just do it, and maybe like even if you're not like fully fluent in another language,
Try it
just
though. Yeah,
teach what you know.
yeah.
Because at that age when they're little, like their brain is
They
just
are a
it's like a
sponge.
sponge. They
Yeah,
just get everything.
they get everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I can't. I
Maybe
can't
we'll
really
have.
think of anything.
Sorry, I didn't let you finish.
Oh, you did.
Maybe we'll have to do an update, maybe like in a year or two, and see. Like
Yeah, that'd be fun.
it's going to be fun to see what language the boys talk to each other. I'm going to force
Yeah,
them to
I
speak
wonder.
Spanish to each other.
You should. Yeah.
Like yeah, they have to, because I feel like it's going to be even better for them because they will have another like
Hmm.
little person to speak Spanish to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then they're gonna be saying things and be like, "What they say? Are they scheming over here?" No, I'm sure at that point I'll be totally fluent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully. Yeah. So yeah, that's our experience, and
Yeah,
yeah,
let us know what you think.
yeah. Let us know
If
if
you
you
have a
have.
similar experience or you tried
Yeah,
doing one of the other methods, uh, the third one that we don't know what it is,
that we don't remember
that
what
we
it
don't
is.
remember what the third method is, but if you try the third method that we didn't mention,
Yeah, and if
let
you
us
have
know.
any tips of like how to enforce and just reinforce the minority language into your
Yeah,
kids,
there's something we didn't mention or think of.
yeah,
That'd be
just
awesome to
let us
know.
know if you have done this, because like we're learning on the job
Yeah,
right
this
now.
is our
So,
first time.
so yeah,
Awesome.
I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Take
All
care.
right.
Thanks for tuning in. And you can find us
Yeah.
Nurturing Next on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.